Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Deathstroke Issue 31. This is of course part 2 of the Deathstroke vs. Batman story. It's got a catchy cover, and we open on Deathstroke's son talking about what it's like being his kid, and Deathstroke's plane getting shot down over Saudi Arabia. Now it's a very action-packed sequence. Deathstroke loses his sword, and he loses Wintergreen, but he's more concerned about the sword. Wintergreen has got the only parachute, and it looks like Batman set him up, but there's probably more to it than that. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne has to deal with a missing cell phone that has a proprietary chip that the government didn't want him to put in. Well, he altered it, but somebody put the original into the phone anyway. So he has to track down who did it, and it leads him on a path that takes him across, it leads him to an ally, a former ally of Slade Wilson. Now, he also does a lot as Bruce Wayne that is very interesting and was a lot of fun to see. Then we cut back over to Deathstroke, and Deathstroke is having to go one-on-one with an old lover who also has a connection to Batman, and leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger ending that's probably a little more misleading, intentionally done. So, and then there is a backup story for The Unexpected, which looks pretty boring, honestly. But this was written by Chris Priest, who I think is just going by Priest now, and it was an amazing issue. This was a blast. Go buy this issue. If you like Batman stories, this is Batman done very well. I don't particularly like Deathstroke as a character, but I have to admit this series is really selling me on picking this up as a regular series, because this was incredibly well written. This was definitely one of the best books I've picked up. This issue and the previous issue were two of the best books I've read in a long time. They rank in my top 5 of the past 6 months, I would say, just because it is a nice, refreshing change of pace from the usual meandering and blathering that you see in comics. It got to the point, everything being said was relevant, and it was a lot of fun. And the art was great. So we've got the story by Priest, we've got Carlo Pagulian and Robert Vaccaria on pencils, Larry Hama did the breakdowns, Jason Paz on inks, Jeremy Cox on colors, Willie Schubert letters. Great book all around. Everyone should be very proud of themselves for doing such good work. So I highly recommend checking this one out. It was a blast to read. It's got me hooked on reading this storyline, which I will actually consider getting in trade paperback if there's a good payoff, which I have no doubt there will be. And it's nice to see Alfred and Wintergreen behind the scenes doing their thing to try and defuse the situation. All in all, a great book. Highest recommendation I can give it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it's a nice callback to when comics were good. So if you get a chance to pick these up, this is worth the money, and this is Batman done right, and it's got Deathstroke being interesting as opposed to just boring. So that's going to wrap up this episode. As always, thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. Please consider hitting like and subscribe, and we hope to see you on the next one.